thank you for being here. Thank you, guys. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now. There's a lot of other things we could be doing right now, such as eating dinner. But we are here with you right now. We're going to pour the next hour at least into you, and it's just a kind of an act of service and random act of awesome. So really glad to have you here with us. Let's kick off, Justin, with a toast to the evening, shall we?
Cheers.
Cheers.
To my good boy JP.
Clink.
Clink.
Now, guys, this may be the first webinar that you have been a part of that was actually truly completely live, and that where the two people teaching were drinking. Now, we do things a little differently around here.
We're awesome.
For the record, if there's anyone out there who's offended by that, then you know, our apologies. We're not trying to be offensive. We're just being ourselves, and I like to enjoy a nice cold brew in the evening. So tonight is all about answers to your questions on wholesaling houses for quick cash. I am JP Moses, and this guy, and I'm not sure which side of the screen or if he's above me or below me. It's going to kind of it's a little different for everybody's setup, but wherever he is in relation to me in the webinar, he is the 10-hour wholesaler. He is the mystery guest of the evening that I alluded to in our email, and I guess it's not so much mystery anymore because you can see his name here in the webinar. It's Justin Wilmot.
Yeah.
Justin, I want to thank you for being here, my friend, for being a part of this with us. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing as well.
No problem, man. I'm stoked to be here, dude. Any opportunity I get to give back, dude, I'm always for it, man.
Awesome. And guys, let me ask you right now, we have a lot of people. Let me see. We have 140 people and climbing right now. Hold your questions for the moment, please, because I'm going to open up for questions in just a minute. I just don't want to have to mine through a bajillion other things, other comments, that kind of thing. So for those of you who are asking, yes, we are legitimately live. We actually want you to answer your questions. There's a little question box in the webinar, but hold them right now. Write them down on a piece of paper if you think of them. We're going to circle right back and get to them here in just a moment, okay? All right, a couple of things I want to go through, just kind of some housekeeping to make sure that we're all on the same page with a few things. First of all, so what is this all about? Well, tonight we're going to give you straight answers to your questions about wholesaling houses or really about anything. It doesn't have to be just about wholesaling. Both of us, you're going to hear a little bit more about the two of us here in just a moment, but we both have extensive, rich history wholesaling houses, but also experiences doing other types of deals as well. So you're welcome to, you know, nothing's off the table. You can ask any question you want, and if we don't know the answer, we'll do our best to point you in the right direction. We're going to share openly tonight, okay? Justin, don't hold anything back.
How open you want me to be?
Don't do it, man. You got to open up the kimono tonight. We're going to share from our real-world experiences. I do need to give an important disclaimer, though. I'm not an attorney. Justin is not an attorney.
I passed the bar, dude.
Okay. Well, then you need to consult with your attorney and your legal professionals before you take any of what we share tonight as the gospel truth, or you take any action on it. Okay, we're going to really just shoot straight with you and be honest about whatever questions you ask. We're going to answer from our own real-world experiences and what's worked for us and maybe some of our friends and colleagues in the industry that we've known and walked this path with. But before you take any action, before you take any inaction based on what you hear us talk about, please consult your attorney and your professionals. Thank you very much. Legal disclaimer closed.
Insert.
We want to inspire you. We want to motivate you. We want to sharpen you. Had to move the question box so I could see what that third word was there. That is a big part of what this is about tonight. And we want to kick off something cool, which I'll tell you more about here in just a moment. But we got nothing for sale. I'm not going to ask you to pull your credit card out or anything like that, so just keep that in mind as well. This is really just about giving to you. So who the heck are we? Well, I'm JP Moses, and the pictures you see here to the right are various and sundry pictures from my life. That's my wife on the bottom. Her name is Cara. I call her the Red Hotness. And my family all the way to the right. My daughters Kelsey and Alyssa. That that picture's actually about 3 years old now. Alyssa's 14 and Kelsey is 9 this month. And the picture on the bottom right there is actually at Patrick and Carrie's wedding. So that's where you and I actually met for the first time in person, Justin.
In person, yeah. That was awesome. That was a great time, dude.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was a literal freaking hurricane going on with their outdoor wedding. It was amazing. But yeah, for those of you who know Patrick Riddle, of course, he and his wife Carrie, his now wife Carrie, are in the picture there. They're good friends of ours. I'm a lifestyle-driven, family-focused, faith-centric dude. If you don't know that about me already, that's something I think that's worth knowing. I've been in real estate investing since about Y2K. Been a wholesaler since 2002. I have completed somewhere north of 400 plus transactions. I don't think that number's ever going to change because I stopped counting a long time ago. So I mean, it could be more than 500. I don't know, but that's enough for me to say.
Yeah, I stopped. I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just a bunch of transactions. Currently, our wholesaling operation here in the Memphis area, we do about 3 to 7 deals a month on any given month. That can vary. You know, we might do more than that on a month. And then, like last month, we closed 0 deals, which was painful, but it happens. It's the nature of the beast. But we have a lot of fun here with our wholesaling company in Memphis. And I am also El Presidente at AwesomeREI.com. If you don't know what that is, more about that in just a moment. You probably do, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it in just a moment. So let's talk about the 10-hour wholesaler. Let's talk about him. His name is Justin Wilmot. He loves even more. He flips gads of houses in a fajillion different markets.
Yes.
I don't know the right number, so I might be exaggerating a little bit there.
A little bit on fajillion?
Wee little bit. So how many markets are you actually wholesaling houses in?
I don't even know, dude. Oh, man, plenty. Last I really took account was 11. It was 16, and then we just brought it down to 11. We're really focusing on Southeast region right now.
All right, so you're in 11 markets, and you guys do a bunch of deals, and you have a great operation there. And you need not spend a thin dime marketing for seller leads, which is pretty interesting when you think about it for a wholesaler. Not something you hear every day. And for those of you who are interested, I'll mention this again at the end, but maybe you just want to write this down. Don't go there now, but just make a note of this, maybe on a scratch pad or something. 10hourwholesaler.com/presentation. You can see it there on the screen. That is where, if you're interested in hearing more about Justin's business model, his 10-hour wholesaler business model, which is worth hearing about in my opinion, you can find out more. He's got a video presentation there, and there's some training available, and you can just see if it's something that's a good fit for you or not. We're not here to pitch you training specifically, but I know we're going to get people asking once they have a chance to get to know Justin a little bit how to learn more about what he does the way he does it. So,
what's
as a service.
What's so cool about that presentation? It's like a rinse and repeat, man. I just got back, 2 weeks ago from the exact same what I talked about in the presentation, right?
Yeah.
Costa Rica, doing deals while I'm there, showing on screenshot, showing people how I do it. So.
Yeah. You got a lifestyle business, man. One that few people are able to enjoy, and many people would envy. But all right, so real quick,
we're here to inspire. That's what it's about, man.
That's right.
Yep.
Awesome REI. So what is Awesome REI? I know we have some new faces around here who weren't here a couple of months ago when we kind of unveiled Awesome REI. Okay, so Awesome REI is a shiny new place, a philosophy, just a way of learning and being in the real estate investing space. We call it real estate investing for awesome people. So Patrick Riddle is our head honcho, and I work with him at Awesome REI. Justin is a part of our faculty and a part of our team here as well, and we have a few other people who are part of the team. So that's me and Patrick, and the best way to just real super quick give you guys in a nutshell what Awesome REI is about is to share with you our 12 awesome do's. This is part of our company philosophy. If you want to find out more, we also have like 9 don'ts and 10 awesomes, but if you go to awesomerei.com and check them out. Let me blast through them real quick. This is what we stand for. These are our values, okay? Always care. Always have fun. If you hadn't picked up on that by now tonight, then it's going to be painfully obvious. You may not be having fun, but we are. Always keep it real. Again, always keep it real. Stay thirsty, my friends.
Stay thirsty.
Always have an abundance mindset.
Big.
Always be students, not just teachers. Always keep improving, learning, and growing. I have to keep moving the question box so I can see the rest of that. Always be grateful, not just for the good stuff. You can learn a heck of a lot.
That's a superpower.
Yeah. You got to learn to be grateful for the hardships as well. Always have a positive impact and build people up. Always respect people enough to just be honest. In other words, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Always learn from your mistakes, which is a huge lesson.
Huge.
And always give first. And really, that's a big part of the spirit of what we're doing here tonight is we just want to give and add some value to your lives. And always be awesome.
And I hope
that one.
People, get the questions out of your mind. This is literally here to give. So
yes.
I want to reiterate that. So anybody that's like that one guy, Greg, skeptic. Ooh.
So why are we here? It looks like my numbers didn't quite, like my animations didn't work out on this slide. Why are we here tonight? Because of our values. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, because you're awesome. Reason number 3, because of our shiny new plan of awesome. So if you look at the bottom half of the slide that you see up right now, I just want to whet your appetite. That's right, W-H-E-T, whet your appetite with some tasty carrots because starting now, there's going to be a whole heck of a lot of great stuff. This webinar is just the kickoff of a lot of stuff that's meant to pour out value to the real estate investing community. So those of you guys who are a part of our tribe, a part of the crowd, a part of the awesomeness that is within our reach, we want to help you become a better version of yourself. And we're going to do that in the same ways that we always have. Plus, we're going to begin dispersing knowledge bomb trainings. Okay, if you don't know what a knowledge bomb is, we have 2 of them available at awesomerei.com right now. If you go to, after we're done, if you go to awesomerei.com, you will see, I believe there's it's like 33 killer ways or to get cash buyers. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on the actual titles. I should probably just hop off and show them to you guys. But basically, if you need cash buyers, you'll get all the cash buyers that you ever need from the knowledge bomb that we have posted at awesomerei.com. We've got another one that is secret sauce, awesome sauce for your MLS, basically the 47 awesomest keywords that you need for your MLS searches. So we have a lot more of those coming on a regular basis. We also are starting a podcast in the near future, the Awesome REI Tips Podcast. It's going to be short episodes designed to just give you a laser-focused tip so you can digest it and move on. Swipe and deploy. One of the things that we've been doing for our kind of our inner circle has been sharing documents and checklists and forms and marketing pieces that are working in our business, and we've shared it with a small group of people for some time. We're going to begin sharing some of those with the public, with you guys. In fact, we have one that's going to be posting to awesomerei.com tomorrow. It is a postcard, a handwritten postcard that I have been testing in my business. I'm going to give it away to you guys tomorrow. It shows up on the blog tomorrow. So basically, we're going to continue to give away things that you can swipe and deploy in your own business. Live Awesome REI classes like this. That's what this is. Okay, I feel like a gangster when I do that. Bam. This webinar that we're doing right now is part of our new rhythm on a monthly basis. On the first Monday of every month, which is what we're on right now for May, we're going to do a live webinar. Sometimes it'll be a Q&A. Sometimes we'll have something specific that we want to teach to add value to where you are in your business at that time. But we'll have different special guests. Justin's not going to be here every time. A sad tear.
Sad.
I'll be here most of the time. Patrick will be here some of the times. We'll have lots of special guests. But the first Monday of every month, we're going to be doing these for at least an hour, maybe more. So go ahead and maybe put it on your calendar if you want to, if you just want to tune in and be a part of the Awesome. It all happens at awesomrei.com. All right.
Killer, man.
Bruce Lee said, "A wise man can learn more from a foolish question. A fool can learn from a wise answer." So what does that mean? I honestly have no idea.
Dude.
But to me, what it reminds me of is that there are no stupid questions. This is not just for experienced investors. It's not just for new investors. This is for no matter where you are in your business, whatever kind of question you got, toss it out to us. There is no dumb question, no matter how basic or how seemingly advanced it is. I'm not saying we know everything, but like I said earlier, we'll do our best to answer your questions or point you in the right direction of somebody who can. All right? All right. So let's jump into the Q&A, shall we? All right. So you guys, there is in the webinar, built into the webinar, there's a box where you can type your questions in. We're just going to do our best to try and fit everybody in, okay? Let's see. Now is the time.
We're literally just hooking people up like this. You got to say it again to these guys, man. And we're literally just hooking people up. Whatever you want to know, we got you. I mean, who does this?
Yeah, whatever kind of questions you got, toss them out. And,
kill it.
And don't forget to be awesome, okay? So now's the time to start dropping your questions in there, and let me find the first one to start with here. All right, we're going to start with Alex Burke. Alex says, "Thanks, guys. Here's my question. I'm in a hot market, Salt Lake City. Made 100 plus offers over the last 10 months. Only 2 acceptances, which I couldn't wholesale. No one wanted them. Should I consider trying virtual wholesaling in an easier market? What makes a market good or bad?" Justin, I'm definitely going to bring you in on this first because you do a lot of market research for the different types of markets that you're in.
Dude, I'm glad. Yeah, dude, I want to tap me in, coach.
Yeah, bring it in.
I hear this one a lot, you know. And so first off, what was his name again?
This is Alex Burke.
Alex, I completely resonate with you. I completely understand what you're talking about. Mainly because all the coaching I do with people. Dude, there is no market that's the yellow brick road. It doesn't exist. There's no golden market, right? So, you know, I have people that say the same thing to me in Memphis, Tennessee, or if they're in Atlanta, Georgia, or Miami, or Jacksonville, which was last year the #1 rental market in the country for anything under 100K. And really hot markets, and so they say, hey, I'm seeing difficulties. Where should I go? What should I do? So first off, the idea of there being an easier market doesn't exist. So that means that you need to change your approach. So what I do, right, is stop trying to get properties under contract for 50, 40 cents on the dollar. If it's worth $100,000, the myth out there that, and JP may or may not disagree with me, although I believe we have talked about this privately before. The idea of that formula, 75% or 70% of the RV minus repairs, minus the profits you want to make, is the offer that you need to make. So that would mean if the property's worth 100K, you would make an offer for $70,000 minus the repairs. So let's say it just needs 10,000 repairs, which is rare. It needs more than that typically. So now you're at 60, and now if you want to make 10K, you're at 50. So 50K, right, and we're not even talking closing costs. So 50K for a $100,000 house in a seller's market where now it's 2016 and nearly everybody has this in their pocket. And if they don't have this with the Zillow app or anything like it, their neighbor does. the neighbor that they talk to and hang out with when they're in distress. Now, this is my opinion because I'm on the ground all the time, right? My team is. And I believe in a seller's market where everybody has technology at this point, where they get an idea of their home's value, no matter the situation that they're in, it becomes difficult to get it for $40,000 and it's worth $100,000. A lot of people can even conceptualize. I'll call a realtor, put it on for $90,000, and I'll get some traffic. So what I say is use like a justified offer. Change your approach, right? So say, okay, I agree with you, Bob the seller. So those 2 offers you had, I agree, might be worth $100,000 listed. And then you go through what I call a justified offer, which is something that would take a long time to talk about, where you can show that they'll typically, what they'll actually get when they list it for $100,000, minus the time, minus the realtor fees, minus closing costs you would take, blah, 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 blah. Here's net to seller what you would get. And where, because we're doing deals, I can actually show people a HUD statement for like deals that I fix and flip, where I say, look, here's what I listed it for. Here's what the offer I finally accepted in this amount of time. And when I finally went to closing, here's the number I got. Definitely not the number that I talked to you about with the realtor. And that's life in every market, every state across the country. So change how you approach speaking with the sellers. Try to find a common ground where you are providing value to them, and then you are working with buyers that aren't trying to knock you over the head. That would be a fix and flip guy, right? He needs it. He needs that price. I'm still flipping stuff. I need it at a certain price in order to make money in order to get the financing on the deal, especially if I'm using a private money guy. He's not going to give me the money if the numbers aren't right. So they have to beat you up. So who do you reach out to? The guys that are spending the full price. They're out there. Just got to look for them.
Yeah, so some additional thoughts as well. Thank you for that, Justin. One of the things you don't say here, Alex, in your question is how you're making those 100 offers that you've made. If you're in the MLS, firing offers to properties listed in the MLS, that's one thing. If you're going belly to belly with motivated sellers who have responded to some kind of direct mail campaign or some kind of marketing that you've got out there and you've made 100 offers to them and only 2 accepted, that honestly, that seems a little like, I'm not sure that seems even like possible, frankly, unless you're making, unless you're, well, anyway, I have a feeling that the offers you're making are not you marketing and bringing sellers in. Now, here's why I think we should explain maybe just the difference between your business and my business, Justin, so that I think some framing here could help. Justin, in the markets that he's in, Justin, I'm gonna go on a limb and try to describe it, but then you fix anything I say is not correct here, okay? Justin, let's say he's going to go into a new market that he's not in. He's going to reach out to buyers first, cash buyers, typically, and he's going to make a connection with them. And as a professional wholesaler, he's going to find out what kind of deals they want. He's going to find out exactly what they're interested in, specific criteria, zip codes, types of properties, price ranges. Get inside their head and understand what they want. Then he's going to go shopping for what they want, like the personal concierge in a sense, and he's going to start presenting deals to them that match what they're looking for. And he's going to use, to a large extent, other wholesalers' inventory who don't know how to market their deals as well to do that. Okay? So one thing you might want to consider is taking a similar approach. Find out what the people who are your buyers really want, what a good deal looks like to them. Then you ought to be able to either find other people who have properties, and other wholesalers, for example, and cut yourself into that deal through a joint venture, which is Justin's specialty, or you ought to be able to base the offers that you make on what you already know your buyers are looking for. I would also say, now my business, before I go off and describe my business, Justin, is there any part of that I misspoke or that you want to clarify?
No, it's pretty good, buddy.
Okay, I do what Justin does, but it's not the main focus of my wholesaling business like it is Justin's. We do joint venture wholesale deals. We've been at it for a lot of years, though, so we know a lot of buyers, right? And we also have a lot of marketing that's going out there consistently. Alex, I think one of the best things you can do if you're not doing it already is market for motivated sellers. Do some direct mail. I think here's something, I don't know if you're familiar with this statement or not, but the harder the list is that you're marketing to, the more valuable it is because it's not already picked over by other wholesalers. So a lot of wholesalers will send, they'll just, they go to listsource.com and they'll pick up a list of absentee owners and they'll mail a postcard to absentee owners. You can get some deals that way, but that's you're competing. That's like what every real estate wholesaler is trained to do. You're competing against a lot of other people. We're getting some of our best deals from probate. We're mailing consistently to probate. We send 4 letters, a sequence of 4 letters, a month apart to probates. Abandoned houses are serving us really well right now. We're getting absentees, but it's only in our top 15 zip codes and people who've owned the property for more than 20 years. So we really niched it down. That's another good list for us. Let me see what else. We're sending out to a list of where the properties are defaulted on their taxes and they have code property violations both together. So you talk about a good distressed seller.
Yeah, that's some ninja stuff.
Yeah. So they have a housing code violation and they are defaulted on their taxes. So we're sending postcards and letters out to them. So those are some of the lists that are bringing sellers to the surface the best for us. And I would wager that in your market in Salt Lake City, if you were to do some of that, after finding out what your buyers are into, you're going to find some stuff that's going to be a good fit for them, I think. Something else to consider too. We have had, Justin, do you sell your houses ever? I know you have like buyers on tap. We both have cash buyers on tap. But do you ever experiment with putting handwritten bandit signs out at your properties, even though you probably have a buyer?
Not at the property.
Well, I mean in the neighborhood of the property.
Yes, yeah. We do that frequently. I mean, not all the time, but we do it frequently. It also depends on what market. I've been slapped a few times, right? So if I've been slapped, I just leave it alone.
Okay.
Signs in areas that we've been.
Now I'm talking about signs to sell a house, not we buy houses signs.
Yeah, I never do. Personally, I don't do we buy houses signs. I've never liked them. I mean, in the very beginning, when I tried doing them, I did an insane amount, got horrible results with those, but I've always got phenomenal results with cash buyer signs.
Well, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but for years we've never done handwritten bandit signs to sell any of our houses because I had cash buyers, and I was like, I'd rather sell it with a text message to one of my cash buyers than go put signs out. I don't like to leave the house either. But we brought on an acquisitions manager recently, Chris, and I thought, well, I'm going to try this out. Let's just see what happens. And we had some kind of what I call little doo-doo properties that we had option contracts on that we just thought, none of our cash buyers are interested. These things are crappy houses in crappy neighborhoods that just like the licking the bottom of the ashtray of our real estate market. Right.
Bandit signs work great for that.
So we said, Chris, I want you to go put like 3 or 4 signs in the area around the property that say, must sell, please buy my house, desperate, $13K or best offer, and a phone number, something like that. And not in the yard of the property, but just around the property, not saying what the address is. And the phone rang off the hook, and we ended up selling a lot of those houses and making like little $2,000 or $3,000 profits on them. Right. But it was from people who lived in the neighborhood or had relatives in the neighborhood, or they drove through that neighborhood on the way to work. So they're willing to pay more for these properties, or even buy properties that my cash buyers wouldn't touch, or my cash buyers are going to pay next to nothing on. So we now have a system of always putting signs out at every property, even if we have a cash buyer. Even if we've got it sold, I want some signs out there for 2 or 3 days because I want those people calling because we are systematically adding them to our cash buyers list.
It's a great method, dude. And you know what? That's something I don't do is even when I have it sold, put the sign out anyway just to get more leads. That's I'm taking notes along with everybody else.
So, Alex, I would suggest on these properties that you put under contract that you didn't end up successfully selling, do some handwritten bandit signs that just scream motivation, just white corrugated plastic, big fat Sharpie marker, have the calls come in, and when they call in, just say, yeah, I'm desperate to sell this house. You know, what's the best you can do, and see if you can't move them that way for more money than you would with your qualified cash buyers.
Yeah, they work. I mean, they're obnoxious, but they work. They just straight up work.
So Steve Madison says, what's the lowest spread you would do on a wholesale deal?
I don't walk away with money, but.
Do you have any kind of a threshold where it's like, we need to see at least this much margin in order for it to even be worth our time to try, though?
Yeah, for sure. If it's a wholesale deal that we're controlling, like you were just talking about, like we're doing direct mail campaigns in one of our own target core markets, which we still continue to do like crazy, and we've even amped up even more, then yeah. For me, it's that's 10 grand. But if I'm like doing a joint venture deal, if there's a $500, hey dude, $500 is as tight as we are. It's a couple emails in 30 minutes. You know, yeah, we'll do $500 on a JV deal. You know, but for a wholesale deal that I'm doing, like you were just talking about, we're doing direct mail and putting money into it. My entire team is working on it. If I'm paying 3 full-time staff, that 10 grand is the minimum. And I say, look, if you aren't 100% sure that you can get at least X for it, or negotiate on the sell side for this, or at least we have a buyer ready to rock and roll. It's already giving you the thumbs up and ready to put a deposit in for X, where there's at least a 10K spread. Figure something else out.
Yeah.
Because I got to think big. You know, I got people on staff. So a one-man band, could they do that? Yeah, you know, if they want to make 5, they can. But when you start running bigger business, you have to think like that. Otherwise,
I think the metric there is it all depends on how much of your time and effort is required. Yeah. Because if it, like your joint venture deal, for example, if it's just a phone call or two, an email or two, whatever, then $500 is $500, right? And it's great money for the amount of time and effort that you put into it. And I'm the same way. I don't know the last deal we did for $500, but $1,000, a couple grand. But those are for the like.
I haven't done $500 in a long time.
But it's just like we're just phoning it in, like we're gonna barely try, and whatever comes to the surface, we're gonna work with. But if we're gonna like work a deal, you know, and we're putting time and manpower into it, we typically want to see. We aim for 10. We want to see at least 7. Do we make less than that? Yes, just deals just happen. You know, once you get entrenched in a deal, you don't really just want to throw money away, so you stick with it and you make what you can.
Yeah, and always, and as another tip, always consider: can you renegotiate? Did you find some problems with the property? Don't do any crazy shady stuff. But if there's legitimately a problem that you didn't see, bring it to light. You know, that would happen in any other transaction if you were selling at retail and they got inspection. So bring it to light. Ask for a discount on the sell side. Can you find and do what JP just said? Do more signs and see if you can find a better buyer. You know, because people can find themselves in this predicament. They're like, oh man, I thought I was going to make 10. Now here I'm making 3. Well, we've been in that place many times, and we'll be again. You know, and all you do is just say, okay, let's get down on the sell side, up on the buy side, find a new buyer, renegotiate the sell side if it's legit. There you go. Make yourself a better profit.
All right, Uche says, what if I get a house under contract and I don't find a buyer before it expires? My answer to that, Uche, is that's okay.
I was about to say the world will end.
When I walk into a deal, and I would recommend that you follow a similar process here. When we walk into a deal, a part of the conversation with our seller is that this contract is contingent upon an inspection for the repairs to verify that the numbers are as they appear to be, and contingent upon approval by our funding partner. Funding partner is the word that we use to mean our cash buyer. Any cash buyer that we work with is a funding partner on the deal. We don't try to explain wholesaling or how wholesaling works most of the time to motivated sellers because it just would confuse them, and a confused mind says no. People understand partnerships. So if it's contingent upon approval by your funding partner, and you can even say, I have a number of people we use as funding partners on different deals. I'm not sure which one is the right fit for this. I'll probably have to show it to 2 or 3 of them to see which one's really going to be the most interested.
Right.
What a great way to frame the scenario with your cash buyer. Once you send your cash buyers out there to take a look at it, you better sure as heck, if they say no, I'm not interested, Find out what price they would be interested in.
Dude, I hope people write that down in big, bold letters.
Because why, Justin? Why do you need to find that out?
Because they're the market. They're telling you what that property is worth, not what you think it's worth.
And that's what you need to use to go back and renegotiate with the seller. If that happens, if you get 3 or 4 buyers through there and they're just like turning their nose up, and you say, well, that's fine. Listen, if for some reason I'm not able to sell this, and this is you talking to the buyer, if I have to go renegotiate this with my motivated seller, what is the right price for you? What price would make you want to move forward on this? You find that information out, and now you go back to your seller and say, hey, I'm sorry, I was off here, and none of my funding partners really are interested. We're just not seeing eye to eye on this. So the most that they're willing to fund here is this much, and you use the information they gave you to renegotiate. That's really the bottom line.
Dude, that is bingo. I couldn't have said that any better. And I would like to add on, and only because this is fresh, I just had a coaching client of mine say, man, but are they really funding partners? I don't really feel too comfortable saying that. Well, first off, look, there's a lot of things out there that are said that are like advertising for tobacco and cigarettes and things that kill you. We're doing things that are going to help people and providing a service that something that somebody wants. Second off, they are your funding partners. When you don't understand that when you haven't done a deal, but when you look at the contracts, if you do a simultaneous or a double closing, it's disclosed in the closing contract, and they're funding your deal. That's your funding partner in verbiage. So I just want to remind people, if you think that, it'll come off when you're negotiating, and you're going to find wholesaling more difficult. So don't let that happen, right? Know the truth, know it is your funding partner, and get the deal done, and be confident about it, because confidence comes off when you're talking to people. So.
Got a question here. I'm on the web here. I got off the webinar because we have a question here from Saji Abdul Wali, who says, I need more cash buyers, and where do I find them? Rather than dig into that, I'm just going to go to the blog here at awesomrei.com and point you to this here knowledge bomb, 33 ways to build a ridiculous cash buyers list. So go check that out, and you will have so many of them.
Do you know what I've been using since that blog post? The Section 8 stuff, Social Serve and Go Section 8. We've been crushing getting leads there. Not every market has a bunch of them, but they're so freaking quality. They're so good. They're all living. Yeah, those are great ones, man. Again, and always and a little tip for people: a lot of times the quality stuff is not in the big list that everybody knows about and talks about, like you had mentioned too with absentees and stuff, like inheritance lists and such. Right? That's a small list, even if you're in a big county. But man, it ain't about how many times the phone rings. It's about how you treat it when that phone rings from that lead. Same thing with these buyers. Not huge lists, but super quality when you go to that Section 8 stuff.
All right, got a question here from DH. DH says, a lot of wholesalers want you to make the check out to their company, not the title company. And when you do, they now have your buyer. On the purchase contract, earnest money may only be $100, but deposit may be $2,000. How do I keep buyer and JV wholesaler apart? So this is definitely in your specialty, Justin. Basically, the core of it there, I think, is how do you keep your buyer and your JV wholesaler apart?
First off, you don't. You really think that they're never going to meet each other or hear of each other? Now, they're not going to see each other at closing. Maybe they will. Depends on how you structure the deal. But what's the big deal? You have a contract. You're in position, right? And you're going to make your fee. They can't go around you. You have a contract on the property. Now, if you're worried about them after this deal going directly to the wholesaler, your buyer going directly to the wholesaler, A, that can and will happen. There's many more buyers out there. Don't worry about it. 2, you're not building a good enough relationship with them. Explaining in the beginning the value that you are providing to them, right? You could be somebody saying, look, this one guy, yes, this is a JV partner of ours. But trust me, we're the ones that are going to bring them out and build the case for why you are the person. Build a real relationship with them. That's my answer to that. It will happen.
All right. Next question here is, hang on a second, I'm kind of sorting through them here. Stanley Dotson says, I've had different people telling me it's fraudulent to sign a contract to purchase a home that I don't, or excuse me, to purchase a home that I know I won't buy. Is there an agreement or a clause that would still give me the right to sell the lead to a buyer? All right, so Justin, you and I were just chit-chatting about this the other day. There's a lot of people who are having kind of a knee-jerk reaction to some videos that were put out recently where someone interviewed some members of the, I think it was the Ohio Real Estate Commission, or some of the commissioners or something like that. And in that interview, the attorney asked them a lot of questions that were leading questions, in my opinion, that were meant to basically extract out of them how much of a distaste they have for what wholesalers do. So let's take a step back for a second. Why do the real estate commissioners and realtors not like wholesalers? Because they feel like they should own the real estate space. Anything that has to do with real estate should be done by a qualified, licensed professional. Now, I'm not trying to demonize all realtors. I was licensed for a number of years myself. I know I work with realtors regularly, so I'm not trying to say all realtors are the devil. But the NAR, National Association of Realtors, kind of is the devil, and they have a huge lobby, and they're hugely influential, and every single person on the real estate commission is a realtor, and they're being indoctrinated that we need to own the space, and those who are active in the real estate investing space without a realtor, man, that just shouldn't even happen. So there's a lot of realtors who are in the positions that they're in who just automatically have a negative eye towards what wholesalers do, and it taints
FSBO sites. I mean, guys, realize what that means. They sued FSBO sites. If you own your home and put it on a for sale by owner website, they were suing that company. Some people don't really, I think, don't understand the meaning of that. That means if you own a chair and put it on Craigslist, rooms to go, they may not like that. And then they have a big organization say, hey, people can't post their chairs like that anymore. It's freaking illegal. We own the space. Right. What if I had a contract on that chair, right, for $50, and now I'm promoting, and now I'm going to sell my contract for $100? Is that legal?
So as a part of that conversation, those people made a lot of point of saying that, well, it's all in your intent. If you sign a contract and your intent is to never close, then we're going to basically say that you're not being honest, right? Or if you say that we buy houses, but because you're a wholesaler, you never actually buy a house because you always assign your contract every single time, 100% of the time. You never actually go on title. Then do you really buy houses? That's kind of, they talked a lot about intent. A lot of what they said, I think, is questionable when it relates to contract law, frankly. How would it go in a court? Who knows? I mean, the Real Estate Commission of Ohio is not a judge, and that just because they say something doesn't mean that it's going to stand up. But it definitely caused a lot of fear in a lot of people's minds. Let me just kind of boil it down to its essence for you, okay? It's not fraudulent to put a property under contract to buy and then assign your interest to somebody else. It's not. It's contract law. Any contract is assignable automatically unless it says it's not explicitly. It's also not fraudulent to buy a property and on the same day resell it, even moments later, for a profit. That's not fraudulent either. Both of those are rights of a contract law and of property ownership. Now, do we know how things would go in court if you ever got called to the mat? You don't know. I've been in landlord-tenant court here in Memphis before, and I've had a judge lean forward and say, "Son, I know what the law is, but Let me tell you how we're going to do it in my courthouse today. I've literally had them say that. I know what the law is, but let me tell you how we're going to do it today. So sometimes the court can be the Wild West. You can't rely on just because something is legal, it actually standing up in court.
Right.
So what are we doing to kind of preemptively just kind of protect ourselves so that all of our bases are covered? Well, number one, as wholesalers, we don't advertise properties for sale anymore. We advertise contracts for sale. We're selling a contract. We're selling our interest in a contract. Our text message that we send to our cash buyer says, new contract on such and such. Everything we say, we make sure we say it's contract, not the property, so they can't say we're selling a property we don't own. Number two, we don't advertise our properties publicly on places like Craigslist and Zillow and all the, post lists. It doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, but they used to go all over the place. Anywhere where you're going to advertise, where you could get a lot of traffic advertising one of your wholesale houses for sale. Don't do it anymore. Just don't. And we don't. Okay, I'm not going to give you advice on that. I'm just going to say we don't. Instead, we rely on direct to cash buyer marketing, and we rely on our bandit signs for getting those deals out. What else? Justin, are you doing anything differently as a result of the fear mongering or anything?
Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing. We've changed to using contract verbiage. Whether that even really matters or not is up for argument. Always do, and going to what you said, right, with what the judge told you in court, that's why I believe in just doing business the best way that you can. So if you're ever challenged, you can prove that you're adding value and that you're not taking advantage of and you had the intent of. So in all the verbiage that you do in your marketing, which should be internal, by the way, just like JP said, no more Craigs and Zillow and stuff on a wholesale property. You should be having your own internal list, which is not difficult, and by the way, is the right way to do it. Right? You should already have your buyers list, which is what we talked about earlier. You should be putting properties in a contract that you can't sell anyway. Right? So,
but I don't want the address of that property to be found on Google.
Right.
I don't want my ad advertising that house for sale to be found on Google if I don't have title anymore.
You got it. You got it. Yep, you got it. And then to finish it off, for me, it's kind of simple because I don't like to get involved in the technicalities. I mean, well, wait a minute. That almost sounds like I'm undermining what the law. I care what the rules and regulations and laws are of states that we're in and where we're doing deals. So what I do is just leave it up to the best. And so I find the best. How do I find them? Contact a local REIA. If I don't find the best there, I ask the #1 investor or wholesaler, who a lot of times actually happens to own a brokerage firm, and he really wholesales most of his properties. And I ask him, what's the attorney that you're using? Guess what? They tell us. Because we're going to give them something in return. Maybe leads we can't use. And the reason I tell you it's cool that some of them are also brokers is because now I have something I can really give them, which is leads that don't work for our company, right? Short sales. And so when I get leads in that market, I say, look, we're a real organization. Look us up. When I get leads in this market that we can't deal with, I'm going to give them to you. By the way, who do you use to do all your transactions? What attorney do you use? And so we approach that attorney, let them know what our intent is, what we're doing, and then we say, you tell us how you want us to do our deals. Give us the contracts. And that's how we do deals. It really is a phone call away, which I believe too many people avoid. Like, I don't know if they're scared of talking to an attorney or maybe they're scared of the money. A lot of times I've found it's not even the money. Like, for example, in one of my main markets in Central Florida, and a phenomenal attorney owns the title company. And so it's the title company that does all our transactions, but you're kind of getting a double whammy here, right? Same thing. Hey, we're going to do all of our closings with you, but do us a favor and tell us what. And that's exactly what I did 8 years ago when I didn't know what to do. I approached them and they just told me, and they gave me the right contracts. They told me how to do the deal. They said, this is how you should be doing it. And we did it that way. So whatever state you're in, make that one single phone call, right? It might take a couple phone calls to find the right guy, but you'll find him.
One other thing that we are doing that's different that I forgot to mention earlier is we don't only exclusively assign properties anymore. From time to time, we will do a simultaneous closing, even if we don't need to sometimes, so that we have a defensible track record of closing that we can look back on, because there's nothing illegal. Even if they decide to say, hey, you never bought a house. You say we buy houses, but you don't buy any houses because you don't take title. I can always say, well, yeah, because look back at all these HUDs with us as the buyer and then the seller on it. So clearly we do buy houses,
Good
even
point.
if many times we do decide once we have it under contract to make a business decision and assign it to one of our colleagues instead. So there's nothing illegal about that, but clearly we do buy houses. So we want to provide a history that shows a track record of closings, so we do double closings from time to time.
Good point. And that brings to a lot of like people say, when should I assign? When should I do a simultaneous or a double? Well, maybe more. You should be closing more properties. On our own wholesale deals, I haven't assigned a wholesale deal that we have in control in years. I close every single one of my wholesale deals. Every one of them. They're all closed.
Man, we have some really good questions in here. I know we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. There's some really good here. So, sorry, this thing is getting a little crazy.
People are asking some good questions, dude. Real good questions.
Sorry, hang on a second here. I lost my place.
I remember when I first learned how to use a computer, dude.
Yeah. Okay, so Joe Wholesaler says you can sell your equitable interest all day long, even via MLS. Yes, Joe, you can. Just make sure that that's not all you ever do, like I just said. And make sure that if you're really selling your equitable interest in a contract, that you're not advertising that you're selling a property. All right, Christina Poot says, if I may, in response to the realtor wholesaler discussion, just a comment from me as a realtor / investor / wholesaler myself. There's never a problem with realtors if the wholesaler recognizes that realtor if she or he brings a buyer to that wholesaler's home. Wholesalers should compensate that agent as well. In other words, let's treat all parties fairly. If wholesalers do that, there's usually a team spirit and no bad feelings and not a them against us attitude. Good investor realtors work hard too, just my opinion based on years of experience. Christina, I think that is how you do business. I know a lot of realtors who think that we are, as investors, as wholesalers specifically, are the seedy underbelly of the real estate community. So not to contradict your feelings in the least, but I just know a lot of realtors don't like us at all and would rather us not ever wholesale a house because to them wholesaling a house is practicing real estate without a license. Now, what you said about compensating agents, let me just touch on that. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Justin. We have a lot of agents who work with investors frequently who are on our buyers list. They want to know, they want to keep tabs on our inventory.
Yeah.
And
we work with realtors like crazy.
Yeah.
I have a realtor.
But here's
my wife's a realtor. I have one on staff, broke for my company. I love realtors. You just got to know how to do it the right way.
I do too. And here's something that I want to say to Christina and to anyone else, I think. When we put a property out for, we text it out, we do it by zip code. So we have a house in 38111. Everybody who's ever told us they want to know about houses in 38111, they're going to get a text message about it, okay? Unless, sometimes we'll sell them to our top list right off the bat without reaching the larger list. But anyway, when we do that, if a realtor brings somebody to the table, they don't automatically get a commission on top of what we're saying we're selling this contract for, because that cuts into my profit. I'm putting this out there at a profit margin that I'm comfortable with. Now, I might be willing to do that, but I'm not automatically. If I say that I want to sell this house for $37,000 and it's a smoking deal at $37,000, and they bring a buyer, the realtor says, I got a buyer who's willing to pay $37,000, they know from the get-go that their buyer's going to have to pay their commission, that I'm not going to be expected to pay, 3% or $1,000 on top of that $37,000 unless it's asked right off the get-go. They know that I'm not listing this in the MLS. There is no kind of understood that I'm, co-oping and going to pay a commission out of my half of the deal. I'm not trying to be stingy. It's just that I'm letting realtors who are not really buyers in on my deals that are custom tailor-made for cash buyers. So the realtor needs to be understanding that if they want to get paid a commission on that, and I think they should, good realtors bring value to the table, and they bring buyers that we don't have, but they shouldn't automatically. This is not the same space as the MLS. It's not a built-in assumption that the seller is going to pay 3% to a buyer's agent. It's not the same thing.
For me, to sum that up, buddy, what I do is just tell realtors, this is our ask price, and this is net to seller. And so if you have a buyer that wants this deal, just add your commissions. I don't care what it is. Now every state is different. Here in Florida, you have to do it a little differently. But generally, when people ask, can I work with a realtor, the answer is always yes. This is the net to seller. This is what net to seller. I'm a seller. I have a contract on this property. I'm closing this property. Now I'm asking 40. If you want 6K or whatever the commissions would be after the 43, and however they were, that's fine. You can go on HUD. Money's going to go to your broker. He can cut you a fee, but first off, you also have to get acceptance from your broker. So that becomes that's where it gets a little touchy. It's like now an agent who has that, if they're working with a brokerage firm that's not used to this kind of transaction, now they got to try to tell their broker or boss, here's what's going on, and they have to teach kind of the wholesale deal process to them. Sometimes that actually has choked up a few deals, but for us, if somebody's got a buyer, we let them come on board.
Brandon Ditto says, what's up, guys? In the past, I used an affidavit of equitable interest to lock up a property. I've been told to lock it up at whatever price they offer and then try to negotiate a lower price. What are your thoughts on that? I have some pretty strong thoughts on that, Brandon, and then Justin, I'll hear yours. First of all, the affidavit.
Buddy, I know Brandon.
Do you?
Brandon, JP, this is all you, buddy. Go for it.
You know Brandon?
I know the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he works with us. He works with us over at 10 Hour Seller.
Nice. Okay.
Good guy. Good guy.
Brandon, the affidavit of equitable interest, make sure you're not recording those against a property unless you have a contract or an option in place on that property. The affidavit itself should not be used. Basically, the affidavit of equitable interest is a sworn statement in front of a notary that you have equitable interest. And if you record that on the property, then you better sure as heck have equitable interest. And how do you have that? By either having a contract or an option agreement in place on that property. So make sure that one precedes the other. Secondly, locking it up at a price, whatever they offer, and then negotiating a lower price later. I'm not a big fan of that strategy because I feel like if you go in knowing that's going to be your strategy, I feel like it's deceitful and yucky, honestly. Now, I will renegotiate with sellers. When it comes down to it, when it makes sense for me to do that, in order for I'm not going to make nothing on a deal or make next to nothing. I need to keep a profit margin I'm comfortable with. If things go weird, and my seller ends up saying that or my buyer ends up saying he's got to buy for less or whatever, I will renegotiate. But I'm not going to lock it up at whatever price they say and then go try and renegotiate it later. Now, one caveat to that: if we're close, if I'm negotiating with a seller and we're close. It's not quite the right price, but they're kind of in the ballpark. I just know that they just haven't really caught reality yet. What I don't want is to leave them with my offer in mind and let them go shop it to the next guy, or the next guy and the next guy, and one of those guys then finally gives them that dose of reality and gets the deal, and I didn't have a contract on it. So what I do want to do, what James and Chris will do, is they will go ahead, if they're in the ballpark, they're close, they'll say, look, I think we're high. I think you're high on this, but I'm willing to give it a shot and see what we can do. Okay, we have to get in and do our due diligence. We have to verify all the repairs. We have to see what our funding partners say. Let's give it a go and see. Just see what they say. And so then we'll go ahead and sign it up so that we have control. Then once you have control, coming in on the back end with that dose of reality and saying, hey, my buyers or my cash funding partners, this is what they're saying, that conversation has validity and teeth to it when you have a contract in place that you're renegotiating versus never having had the contract in the first place. So that's kind of my version of that. I will not step into a deal doing that by, with that assumption in mind that I'm going to do that. What about you, Justin?
Well said.
Nothing to add to that. All right. Next question. This one, I'll toss this one at you, Justin. This is Sarah Pearson. My son's a licensed broker in Georgia. He believes he's not allowed to help me wholesale properties in North Carolina. Is that correct? Or has she just been indoctrinated to believe that? So her son's licensed in Georgia. He believes he's not allowed to help her wholesale properties in North Carolina.
So one thing I would say right off the bat is most brokers believe you can't wholesale because what people don't know they run from. They don't understand. Look, well, this is a small, tiny niche of real estate, and it takes learning, like what you guys and what everybody here is doing. What I had to do for hours and hours and hours before I did my first deal with JP did. It takes time. Same thing with the attorneys. That's why the attorneys that know the space, they hang out the REIAs and work with other investors, and that's why it's just small. So first off, on that sense, I wouldn't expect your is it her sister?
Son.
Son would know it. Now, if he does understand wholesaling, he knows the gig, can he help? Because we don't know enough context really to answer this enough. Maybe the question is, can I help you wholesale even though I'm licensed here in Georgia? Can I help you in South Carolina? I believe not, because he's not licensed there. So he can't get you MLS access. And help is another part of the question. And in regards to help, help like what? Help what? Like what would you need help to do? Maybe she can answer that real quick. What are you looking for help for, Kristen?
Yeah, and I would say the only other thing, yes, clarify that if you would, but also one thing that pops, Sarah, that pops into my head here is your son may be concerned about the fact that he's licensed in one state and you're asking him to help him in another state.
Yeah.
If you're a realtor in one state, unless that state has less reciprocity in place, kind of like gun laws, some states have reciprocity with other states where a gun license in Tennessee is valid in Mississippi, for example, but not in Arkansas. It's the same thing with some licensure laws. So if Georgia and North Carolina don't have reciprocity, then he may be thinking, I can't help you, but he can't help you as a realtor. It doesn't mean in an official capacity as a realtor. It doesn't mean he can't assist you as a principal in a wholesale deal.
Make him a member of your LLC and have him help you do stuff. Negotiate with sellers, negotiate with buyers, whatever.
Right. Exactly. All right. Will there be a replay available? Yes, DH. We'll do a replay. Probably be about 3 weeks before we can get to it, but we'll put it up on Awesome REI.
For $9.99, you can have the replay.
No, it'll be free as well. What's the process of getting your first house under contract? This is Nick asking. You go, Justin.
Getting first.
Yeah,
wow, that's a little.
Do you have about 15 minutes left? Can we go about another 15 before we hop off? I know we did about 15 minutes of housekeeping, so I want to try and do a full hour of Q&A.
Yeah. First thing I would do, Nick, is start getting a really good list, some of the lists that JP was referring to earlier, and start sending direct mail, either yellow letter or the yellow postcard. Make sure that somebody's picking up the call live. There's a lot of people out there who say you send it to voicemails. I call BS on that. But though it does work for some people, but you need to have a baller budget to do that because you need to send a lot out. So pick up the phone, learn negotiation skills. Maybe you use the book that JP recommended in the beginning when we were early here. Learn how to frame and negotiate. Make sure you're adding value to a seller. Get that property under contract. Find out what it's worth. If it's worth $100,000, do your best to make a justified offer. Get it under the contract for the best price that you can. If you already have a buyer, a cash buyer, willing to pay that price. So do some direct mail. You can go to list stores. You can go to usleadlist.com for inheritance lists. You can Google certain absentee list providers. You can get tax deeds, tax liens. You can find. You can go to your city and get fire damaged houses. A lot of different options. Send direct mail and get some under contract. So you just got to start getting involved. Like you got to start one step and then just start digging deeper. Look, if this was 2008 when the sky was falling, 2007, I would have said, do whatever you can to become great friends with a local broker and start making offers on foreclosures. Period. That's just not the game anymore. So go direct to seller, or just start working with other wholesalers and get one of their properties under contract.
Interestingly, you mentioned that you should always pick up the phone and not send it to a voicemail, right? The marketing it for sellers. All of ours go to voicemail. But I will admit that it's not as effective if you can answer the phone live. we had somebody answering the phone live. I just couldn't stomach the Pat Live budget and felt like they weren't doing a good enough job to be worth their while. So in the future, I plan to have an in-house person doing that, but for the moment, we use Vumber, VUMBER.com. You can rent phone numbers for like $3 a piece, local numbers, and it connects great with Podio and that kind of thing. So
Vumber is a great resource. We use that for all of our outbound call center stuff. So on my internal team, I can watch everything they're doing. You know, I have like a quota. How many cash buyers have you talked to in each market today? And and I love the record option so I can listen in for quality control. But dude, inbound, I always got somebody picking up that phone. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah. Justin, this is Gregory. Justin, I love the 10-hour wholesaler program. I'm curious about mentorship or coaching opportunities with you.
Oh, cool. Greg, dude, definitely email me. You know what? Email me at housetitans@gmail.com, housetitans@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it.
And I will cordially ask, since Justin was ridiculous enough to share his email just then, that you guys not swamp him with wholesaling questions, please. If you're interested, yeah, just be respectful of his inbox. I'm just going to step up and say one there for you.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I am probably going to go home and eat dinner, so if I don't get right back to you right now,
yeah,
I'll get to you.
All right, there you go, Gregory. By the way, guys, if you missed out on the beginning, we're not here to try and sell you anything tonight, but a number of you are asking about the 10-hour wholesaler, about Justin's business model and how he does his wholesaling business in only 10 hours a week. You can find out more at 10hourwholesaler.com/presentation. That's the number 10. hourwholesaler.com/presentation. He's got a little video there, and you can see if it's something that's a good fit for you. What service do you use? What service do you use to text your list? I've got ours, but what do you use?
I still use Vumber to text the list.
Okay. First of all,
Infusionsoft.
Are you an Apple person or are you an Android person?
I'm Mac, man. Once I went Mac, I couldn't go back.
Yeah, I'm not. Everybody on our team is Android and Google. And I'm not like taking sides. This is my pre-framing for answering the question. There is software that we use. It's an app, and then we also use it on our desktop computer. It's called Mighty Text. Okay, Mighty Text. There's a free version of it, but then there's a pro that you pay a little bit for. It's not super expensive, and it lets you basically send and receive text messages on your desktop computer. It routes them through your phone. In fact, I'm just going to show you guys. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
All right, nobody text any of these people, but there's Justin right there at the top, right? So this is what Mighty Text looks like on my computer. So it syncs up with my phone, and every text message that I send or receive is here, and I basically send and receive text all day right here from my computer. So it's pretty cool. You've got to have your phone on. You've got to have the app installed on your phone in order for the two of them to talk. But what's really great about Mighty Text Pro is you can set up, and I don't actually have it installed here. James uses it, and Carol and Chris, because they're in the day-to-day of the business. I don't communicate with our cash buyers anymore. They do it, but you can set up groups, and when you send, usually when you send a text message to a group, you can tell you're part of a group, and it's kind of lame, and you're like,
right.
I have to put me in this group.
You're like, what the?
Set up a group in Mighty Text, it looks like an individual text message to each person. So we set up a group for each zip code, and every time we add a cash buyer to our list, we know their zip codes du jour, and we add them to those Mighty Text lists. So when we have a property, Carol drops into the Mighty Text and blasts it out just to the people who are interested in that zip code in one fell swoop. So,
dude, great resource, bro.
Yeah, but it's only Android. You can't use it on an iPhone.
Well, I guess we're just out of luck.
Yeah. We have Carol. I actually have a phone plugged in over here for our VA Carol. That's an Android phone that just sits plugged in on my desk for her to use, connected with Mighty Text. There you go, DH. All right, next question. How are you able to use your cash buyer's funds to close your deal? Do you do that still ever, Justin?
All the time.
Do you know? I know a little bit about when you can and can't do this. Do you want to speak up or not, or me?
Go for it, man.
Your cash buyer's funds to close your deal. Now, William, I assume, actually, I could be mistakenly assuming that he's talking about during a double closing. Is that how you understand the question?
How do you do it? That's one of the things I messed up with. Dude, before I did my very first deal, I was Googling how to do a simultaneous closing, and I literally, no exaggeration, dude, I spent 3 weeks straight trying to learn how to do a simultaneous closing. Like I thought I needed to know how it all worked.
Well, back in the day when I first started, it was the norm to use. You would do double closings, but you didn't have to come with any wet funds to closing. If you were the guy in the middle between the two closings, you would just your cash buyer's funds would fund your A to B transaction, and you got a cut in the middle. Then I started, basically after the crash, it was like, oh, we can't do that anymore. Now you got to bring funds. You got to get transactional funds or bring a line of credit or something. Which costs money, obviously, when you borrow money like that. Well, I've just recently discovered that it's not that there's some kind of legal barrier keeping you from doing that. It has to do with the title insurance.
Yep.
Title insurance companies are saying, more often than not now, that they're not comfortable giving you a title insurance policy if you, as the buyer, didn't actually bring any funds to the table. If it's being funded by a different transaction, like the B2C transaction, then they're saying, we don't want to insure the title. That doesn't feel good to us anymore.
Right.
However, not every title insurance company does that. So there's still some closing attorneys and title companies that will let you use your end buyer's funds because the title insurance company that they're issuing title insurance through doesn't have that stipulation.
Correct. You can do it all day long in Florida, but there are title companies that say all day long, nope, we can't do that. Yeah, they can and they won't, but there are other attorneys that can and will.
There you go. So that's the answer to your question.
Yep. So that means ask people that are doing it, and just call them up. Don't be scared to call people, because as long as you add value to somebody, they're going to give you something back. Every now and then you'll get a jerk from them.
Kurt is asking if you have a skip trace service that you use or recommend.
Yeah, I use virtual assistants for that stuff. I don't even pay. I've gone beyond even allowing my internal staff to do that. It's just not a valuable part of our time. So for you, what I would suggest anybody starting off is to pay people. Even go to Fiverr.com, put in data mining, skip trace, and look for people with the best rating. Some are good, some are bad. Sometimes you'll find a good one, they disappear, and you're like, I found a great one. Where'd they go? It's just the nature of virtual assistants. So Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and put in data entry in the search box.
All right, lightning round here. By the way, I would say if you do really, we only skip trace on rare occasions, but we use Intellius.com to do it when we do it. All right. I'm a new real estate investor. This is Rodney. I'm a new real estate investor. What's the best way to obtain a tax delinquent property list? Best way to do it is to contact whoever does your tax sales in your county and ask them where to get it. It's usually online. You can usually download it.
Boom. Next one.
Let's see. Next question here is how do you wholesale a reverse mortgage? Real quick, a reverse mortgage is what old people get sometimes, where they don't have to make a payment on their mortgage, but it's weird and it's very hard to wholesale those. You can do it, but basically, they'll take out a chunk of money out of the equity out of their property, and they might get $30,000 or $40,000 check to use, and then payments are deferred until they die, and their estate has to pay everything off. Is how it works out a lot of times. So it's just weird, and you can do it, but you need to involve an attorney. You ever had any experience with them before?
No, this is exactly one of those cases where I say, be careful who you talk to and ask questions, like when it comes to wholesaling houses, when it comes to attorneys or real estate agents. For me, like if you were to ask me this would be careful. Don't ask me. I'm not the guy to ask.
That's right. That's right. All right. Joycelyn says, I need a good way to get motivated sellers. I've driven for dollars, mailed, but nothing is working. What do you say, Justin?
Driving for dollars, doing direct mail, but nothing's working.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Buy a list. Get a list. I mean, you can get thousands of people. You can get like 2,000 people as filtered as possible on listsource.com. For under $100. If you don't have the money, find a way to borrow it. Add that on to start using Craigslist and FSBO sites to making your own offers as much as possible, all completely free. Just hammer it out. Spend more time making more offers. Or you can always do the 10-hour wholesaler thing and start making relationships with other wholesalers, get their properties under contract, and sell them to your cash buyers.
I'm also going to say, Joycelyn, I mentioned earlier that one of our best sources for deals has been abandoned properties. If you haven't heard of Abandoned House Secrets, it's another training we released recently. You can go, and actually had somebody else asking about abandoned houses earlier too, and I didn't get to their question. You can go to abandonedhousesecrets.com/presentation. Just like Justin's presentation on 10-hour wholesaler, there's a short video presentation there that will let you size it up and see if it's something that's a good fit for you. But it's basically some friends of ours, Sean and Tracy Flanagan, who have an incredible system for getting abandoned house leads, and it's stupid cheap way to do it too. You don't have to spend much money on your marketing at all, and it works like gangbusters, and nobody else does this. So if you really want to get some motivated sellers that nobody else is tapping into effectively, then I highly recommend that at abandonedhousesecrets.com/presentation.
Awesome resource. It's important always for people to try to always find those unique spots where you're finding those little niches where everybody's not sending to.
All right. 2 more questions and then we're done. Justin, is organizing a team imperative to reaching a high level of success in wholesaling?
Yes.
So elaborate, though. And in fact, I know that you've done a couple of training videos with our buddy Hambright about organizing your team. So
yeah.
Can you talk a little more about why that is?
So I'm only a wholesaler today because I started off wholesaling and with the dream to get into buying and renovating big, beautiful homes, and I did that. And it was cool until I got so insanely burnt out, couldn't understand why I was in the space, driving around in nice stuff and a nice, oceanfront luxury condo and all this blah, 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 and the lifestyle sucked. I could not leave. I don't care what anybody says. Now, some people have it figured out, right, having a good, successful fix and flip company that you can leave for, but guess what? I'll challenge anybody. There's some really successful guys out there. But I just got back for over a month traveling Costa Rica and Central America with my family. Deals got done. We made thousands and thousands of dollars, over 40-something thousand bucks. No way in hell could I have done that if I was fixing and flipping properties.
Yeah, that's true.
Period. It wouldn't have happened. So my point is, having a team is essential, right? And I could have only done the wholesale deals because I had a team. Now, can you have a team that fix and flips space? Sure. But anyway, I say all that just to say I'm a wholesaler because I personally found it easier to set up a system for a team in wholesaling houses. Much easier for me because wholesaling houses is just marketing. It's building rapport with people. It's having good people. So if you want a highly successful business, I'm just going to be blatantly honest and say, yeah, you need a team. You need a team. Now, I do have some students that I'm almost jealous of. They figured it out where I've helped them do it, but not to the caliber that I thought they were going to get to because they're doing 5 to 6 deals a week and have that many internal team members. 0. Now, they work more than I do. They couldn't spend a month and a half. So I designed my lifestyle, and I built my business around that. So you define what success is to you, dude. I mean, do you want how many do you want those mills in the bank account? 2, 4, 5, 10 mil in the bank, which you should want, right? But you just got to make the decision of be very, very clear on how you're going to get there, and build your business around that. So if success looks like, let's say, like if it was somebody traveling the world or spending any amount of time you want, right, while business is getting done, you're going to need a team. Can you do it virtually? Yeah, you can do it virtually. For me, I like it in-house. I like it in my office. I like to kind of look over my people's shoulders and have weekly meetings and stuff. So my opinion, absolutely, that question, a team is more than necessary. It's imperative.
Yeah, I agree if you're trying to build a business. Now, I know a lot of people who wholesale houses, but they're not trying to build a wholesaling business. They just,
Right.
it's a hobby, it's an add-on to whatever else they do. If you're a rehabber and you rehab houses, like one at a time, and then you get leads that you don't want to rehab and you wholesale one here or there, you don't have to have a team to do that. You can just do it, right? Or if you're brand new and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't really even get started until I build a team of people to do my business for me, then you're putting the cart way before the horse. You need to kind of cut your teeth in the hustle, right? You got to wear all the hats and get out there and use that fire in your belly to fuel your first few deals, and then earn that team that you're going to build if you're trying to build a business. And then everything else Justin said. You need a team.
This is why I love doing stuff with you, because it's necessary to have the the conversation, because it's true. I failed to mention that you need to learn to. I did an insane amount of deals, obviously, before I built a team. So.
Yeah. I mean, I spent 8 years hustling by myself before I ever hired anybody, and part of that was because I was just too dumb to know even that I was caught in the hustle. And it's I thought I was living the dream, and then one day I was like, "This is the hardest job I've ever had in my life."
Why did I do this?
The sex appeal just went away, and I was like, "I'm dying here."
Yeah, because the sexiness is all right, I'm doing it, and then you're like, oh, I'm doing it, but damn, I'm paying the.
Man, Gary Vaynerchuk, you can have the 18-hour days. Justin and I will take a lot fewer hour days than that. We want a lifestyle business. I mean, those of you who follow Gary Vaynerchuk, I was just listening today to somebody interviewing him, and he was talking about, he was like, man, I just feel sorry in my heart for people who don't have the fire in their belly to work those 18-hour days. And I was going, oh, this is freaking me out to even imagine, I'm 41 years old. I don't want. I want to spend time with my family, right? This is not about someday for me. Yes, I want to build a business. Yes, I'm wired to want to conquer and build a big successful empire, but not to someday enjoy life. I want to enjoy life now. I want a business that serves my life, not a life that serves my business.
Got it.
You're getting off the preachers.
Everybody here is blessed, dude. We're lucky we were living in this country, or many other countries, but we're living in this time with the internet.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. You can go and hire somebody. You write a list down right now before the night of the top 3 things that you want to get done, and go to Fiverr.com and freaking hire somebody to do it, and start building the wheel to start getting stuff done without you physically having to do it. Because let's be honest here, we all kind of after this call, you're going to want to go eat dinner I want to go do, or maybe you're going to go watch the Kardashians or something, and you're like, oh, but I know I need to get that list of those cash buyers I wanted. Well, hire somebody for $5. I mean, it's 2016. I mean, you can have it. Look, I love Gary Vee, and I watch him. He's an inspiration, and I love people that push the hustle. Like Grant Cardone, another great mentor, phenomenal actually. But my opinion, I don't work to eventually one day live life. I enjoy spending a month in Central America. I enjoy taking my family out boating. I went fishing all weekend offshore, 40 miles out, and business is still happening. Yeah, and I don't need I'm not looking for the $30 million in the bank. I like mills, but I mean, at what point?
No, see, and that's the thing. I respect the hustle. I don't want to be slaved to the hustle. I want to hustle because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but I want the hustle to fit my life, not to own my life. So there's where I part ways with a lot of those guys who it's all about just the power and the, man, it's I get that. Again, the phrase that comes to my mind is that fire in your belly. I get that, and I have that to an extent, but not at the sacrifice of things that, frankly, are much more important. You never hear anybody who on their deathbed looked back and said, man, I just wish I had worked more 18-hour days.
Wish I worked more 18 hours. Didn't happen. They said the opposite. And guys, don't confuse this with laziness. You have to work to make what JP and I are talking about. To make a lifestyle where it pays for it. To have a company and a business that pays for your lifestyle and you don't worry about bills takes hustle. Just not to the degree where we're working 20 hours, right?
Yeah. All right, final question here is, can you suggest the best CRM for a wholesaler to use? And this is Christina. She also says, and did you say My Text Pro? No, Christina, it's Mighty Text Pro is what I use for my text messages. Mighty Text Pro. So what CRM do you recommend for wholesalers, Justin?
I still use FreedomSoft.
Well, you say still. FreedomSoft is coming out with some incredible upgrades lately.
Dude, Rob's doing a good job.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. Rob's a bud. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, man. So there's always something new coming out. Yeah, I'll be in my office and I hear my team go, "Oh, they just got a new text app on FreedomSoft," you know. So all the new stuff coming out, we're thoroughly enjoying. You know, I went through a couple hiccups during the transition, but man, I mean, it's just for us, it's a one-stop shop, and you know, there is a level of comfort. You know, I've been using it for so long and training people so long, creating training modules for my internal staff. So I just keep using it. I enjoy it. It works well for us.
We use Podio for ours, and I've used FreedomSoft in the past. I'm kind of toying with the idea of trying FreedomSoft again. When we left FreedomSoft was lacking a lot of options that we could get through Podio, through customized Podio. The downside of Podio is there's a learning curve with it. But the upside is it is limitless in its flexibility and things that you can do with it. I mean, it's not just for real estate; it's for anything, and you can just. It's almost like the sky's the limit. But now that Rob Swanson is in control of FreedomSoft, he has added so many. He's taken lessons from how investors are using Podio, and he's integrating those things into FreedomSoft in really powerful ways. So the benefit to FreedomSoft is much lower learning curve. And they're continuing to really improve it for the real estate investor experience to be a competitor with Podio. So they're both solid. You really can't go wrong with one or the other.
Yeah, you really can't. And if you do want to be simple, I mean, for me, I'm gonna recommend FreedomSoft. Yeah.
Yeah, I think FreedomSoft's gonna have a lower learning curve for sure.
Yeah, a learning curve, the less amount of learning curve. I mean, you can go in there and make your own folders, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that is the last question we have time for, but don't go yet. Couple more quick things before we go. First of all, thank you guys so much. I know we scratched the surface of the questions you asked. There's so many here, we just didn't have time to get to them all. I mean, I knew there was no way possible we'd get to them all, and if you asked a question and we didn't have a chance to get to your question, please know it was important and valuable, and I regret that we weren't able to fit it in. I want to say also that, hang on.
That Patrick is the man.
There you go. Like we said earlier, if you want to learn how to be a 10-hour wholesaler like Justin, you can find out more at 10hourwholesaler.com/presentation.
Go there. I'm telling you, it's so worth a couple minutes.
I also want to remind you that tomorrow we have a fresh, hot, and tasty blog post coming out at AwesomeREI.com, one of our favorite motivated seller postcards. So if you want to swipe and deploy one of our favorite motivated seller postcards, including, actually, there's an entire video on why we created this postcard and kind of the psychology behind it. There's also going to be published with it. Then stay tuned for that tomorrow. You should get an email.
Postcards. So that's awesome that you're giving it to everybody, dude.
And stay tuned for more from our shiny new plan of awesomeness, knowledge bomb training, our Awesome REI Tips podcast, more swipe and deploy goodies coming out. And these webinars are now officially occurring on the first Monday of every month in the evening, real live, just like this. So if you want to get questions answered,
real drinks, it's all good. You ask, you shall receive.
It all happens at awesomerei.com. Justin, on my end, you're over here, so I'm going to give you a high five over here. Does that work for you? Bam.
Oh, try again.
I don't know which side you're on. Internet high five.
Bam!
There we go. There we go. Guys, thank you so much. Would love to know what you thought about this. If you want, just drop a little comment here in the question box and let us know what you think about this. And we love your feedback and appreciate it. From this point forward, if you want to go check out any of that stuff, go check it out. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night.
We're out of here.